I knew it. I shouldn't have been invited here tonight. You should have included me out. I'm the last fellow you want if you came for a 3-point anger protocol with a downloadable worksheet and a cute little timer that goes ding and makes you holy in 90 seconds. No. You've hired the wrong mechanic for that tune-up. My wrench is older, and it doesn't tighten. It loosens. My only credential, if you insist on one, is that I have failed loudly enough, been hot enough, and died often enough to that hot self that I can stand here outwardly cold-blooded, perhaps, and inwardly overheated with love for God and man and tell you what you already know and don't want to obey. Skip the hacks, be still, and anger is nowhere to land. Do you think it is the God self of us that flares, sputters, throws sparks like a streetcar at midnight? Do you think the Holy One of Israel who says, I am that I am, needs a cooling towel? Or is it the humanhood we have mistaken for ourselves, sitting on a pretend throne with a plastic scepter, who demands its little furies as proof of life? The only self that gets angry is the self we are relinquishing. Be still and know that I am God, the psalmist speaks. And there is more theology in that one breath than in a library of steps. Be still now and see if there is any place in God for a quarrel to take a room. I am not here to give you a ladder of rungs to climb, because in the climb itself is the confession that God is absent and will be reached later, that grace is a package en route with a tracking number, delayed by weather in Memphis. I am here to cut the string and let the parcel be what it always was, present. The kingdom of God is within you, Jesus says. Not on layaway, not 90 seconds out, not after 12 breaths. Peace be still, he said to the storm. He didn't say peace be still in a minute and a half after you journal. He spoke from the God self of him that we share. And what obeyed was not waves and wind, but the human belief that noise is authority. So if I sound paradoxical, it is because life in God is the end of opposites. If I seem to back into sentences and tie them in knots, it is because I am trying to speak of a place without corners in a room full of angles. Please, do not require polish of me. Require presence. I can promise you, it doesn't look as if this will end sensibly, but the center is clean. A present stillness that is not manufactured, but notice the instant you stop volunteering to be the manager of your emotions. You cannot build the light. You can only quit staring at your shadow long enough to see that it was never the sun. Let us set our expectation together. No stopwatch, no ladder, no self-improvement trophies to hang on the soul's wall. We will not train anger. We will remove its landing strip by refusing to identify as the one who needs anger to exist. This is not severity. This is mercy. It is mercy to the world because we stop adding heat to its rooms, and mercy to ourselves because we stop pretending that a personal furnace is the proof we are alive. In quietness and in confidence shall be your strength, says Isaiah. Not in reaction, not in the clever reshuffling of thoughts about fairness and fault, but in that quicksilver hush where God is the only actor, and you, at last, are audience enough to see. So include me out of the cleverness tonight, and include me in the stillness. Right here, without steps, without bargaining, let us begin with a stance, not a trick. Be still now, and anger finds no landing strip. We will discover together that grace resolves at 0 seconds, because grace was never late. Only our management clock was loud. And if we do nothing else in the minutes to come, we will have done the only thing. We will have stood aside and allowed God to be God where we had been doing the job badly. Now, before we go any farther, let's put one of our current little angels on the stand. Stopwatch spirituality. The 90-second rule. We've dressed anger in a lab coat and given it a beaker and said boil for a minute and a half and you'll evaporate, darling. We tap our wrist, watch the pulse graph dance, count down like a space launch, and then post the afterglow. But tell me, freedom for whom? Who comes out of that 90-second sauna claiming liberty, the Christ of you, or the timekeeper with the whistle who wants a trophy for managing heat? I am not against mathematics. God bless the accountants and their 2 times 2. Let them reconcile the ledgers. Let them keep us out of orange jumpsuits, and may their pencils be always sharp. But, friends, the soul is not an adding machine, and grace does not come because you press the equal sign. Which of you, by taking thought, can add 1 cubit unto his stature, says the master? If thought cannot add an inch to your height, do you imagine it can subtract a flame from your fury by a clever count? This timing business is still the old manager at the helm, the humanhood of us with a clipboard, saying, I improved myself. Look at my graph. See how spiritual I am in 1 minute 30? Oh, the flattery of it, the hidden bargain is always the same. I will keep the throne if you, dear God, will keep the timer. Do you see the trick? Time-based hacks make us feel safe because they give us something to do, and doing is the religion of humanhood. It bows to a clock because a clock can be conquered. But the God self does not consult a wristwatch to be itself. Behold, now is the accepted time. Behold, now is the day of salvation. Not in 90 seconds. Now, the hour cometh. And now is. If truth is present, why must it be rehearsed into the room like a late actor with a difficult costume change? Why must we negotiate with a volcano when the ocean is already here? Let's twist that Bible upside down if we must, just long enough to read it right side up in our own language. Salvation by grace is not a scheduled event. It is the absence of the scheduler. The stillness that ends anger does not manage anger. It dissolves the manager. When you refuse the stopwatch, you are not refusing help. You are refusing the only thing that needed help. The little sovereign who thinks he can file away his heat like receipts at tax time. Take no thought for your life, said Jesus. It wasn't a suggestion to be irresponsible. It was an invitation to live from a place where calculation has no jurisdiction. Now hear me. I am not scolding your calendar. Keep your dentist appointments. Honor your trains. But walk free of the superstition that holiness obeys a timer. Grace acts at 0 seconds because grace is not an action that starts. It is being that is noticed when the personal engineer stops adjusting the valves. The moment you quit volunteering to be the foreman of your feelings, the machinery quiets not because you slowed the gears, but because you left the factory. Outwardly, yes, we may appear cold-blooded, not rushing with wet claws to dab the forehead of our temper. Inwardly, we are overheated with love, because nothing in us needs to flare to prove we are alive. So the rule is on trial, and I offer this verdict with a smile and a bow to your timers. Time-bound hacks keep you safely inside the very humanhood that suffers and boasts and updates its progress bar. But grace unmanaged, unmetered acts, the instant the clock is denied authority. Stop, and there is no interval. Be, and there is no becoming. Witness, and there is no one left to win. If you insist on counting, count like this: 0. 0 seconds to God, because God is already God, and you, when you refuse the throne and the stopwatch, find there is nothing left to heat and nothing left to cool, only the light that never began and therefore cannot end. Do you think it's the God self of us that fumes? Do you think the I am rehearses a courtroom speech in the shower? edits a blistering email in drafts, slams a door just right so the echo votes in our favor? Do you think the Holy One plots a comeback that will land like a dart in your brother's pride? Do you truly imagine the life from everlasting to everlasting needs to redden its face to make a point? Or is it the little sovereign we have been hiring humanhood, propped on a pretend throne, draped in a bathrobe it calls royal, striking the arm of the chair and declaring emergencies no one else can see? Let's tell it plain. The only self that gets angry is the self we are relinquishing. A sense of selfhood apart from God. The private person who believes he was elected to protect a tiny kingdom of opinions and memories. That sense of apartness sits high in its plastic crown and cries, danger, disrespect, injustice. At every shadow that crosses its porch, it issues decrees, assigns motives, makes a gallows, and then prays for composure while it tightens the knot. It is terribly busy being right, and because it sits in our seat when we forget ourselves, it borrows our tongue and our hands and spends them. When I flare, and I have flared, I can promise you, it is never the God of me. It is the actor who thinks the play will close if he doesn't raise his voice. Now here is the confession. We have coddled this dramatic self and then begged it to behave better. We stroked it with flattery, called it my truth, fed it the caffeine of outrage, dressed it in the uniform of principle. And then, when it tore up the living room, we said, please, darling, use your inside voice. We pet the watchdog into a wolf and then call the pastor to ask why we have bite marks. We post its speeches and count the applause as evidence of our righteousness. All the while, the quiet Christ at the center of us waits, unoffended, unthreatened, without a single clever retort ready, because love does not need to win a case to be love. The diagnosis is not complicated. I live, yet not I, but Christ liveth in me, said Paul. Either that is more than poetry, or we are condemned to manage temperature forever. Which life is doing your talking when the spark hits tinder? The master says, he that loseth his life for my sake shall find it. We hear those words as funeral music. They are kitchen instructions. Lose the hot private person that must be right, must be seen, must be avenged, die daily to him, and you will find the life that needs neither ignition nor reaction. Resist not evil, he said, not because evil deserves a hug, but because resistance is the currency of the pretend throne. Refuse its economy, and the market collapses. Do not mistake this dying for passivity. It is not the abdication of responsibility. It is the abdication of false royalty. When you step down from that chair, stillness is not you being a good boy or girl. It is God having his way where you had been interrupting. Then a soft answer turns away wrath, not because you calculated an effect, but because there is no heat in the answerer. Then correction may come, boundary may be set, justice may be pursued, the works go on, but they are done without the private furnace running, and so they illumine instead of scorch. It's a tomb if you live inside it. It's only a body if you stand outside, using it as an instrument. And instruments don't get offended, they play. So, who gets angry? The one on the pretend throne. Take off his crown. Lay down his scepter. Let him decrease, that the Christ may increase. Do not ask the actor to whisper. Escort him gently off stage. When you relinquish the self that requires anger to exist, you present nothing for anger to grasp. The God self of you neither ignites nor reacts. It abides. And when you abide there, even for this breath, the room finds there is no audience for the drama, no landing strip for the storm, only the quiet that ends a quarrel before it begins. Be still and know that I am God. Not later. Now, and now again, until there is no one left to flare and nothing left to cool. Now here is where some of you will want to hand me a technique, and I must hand it back like a hot plate. The door we are talking about, Stillness, is not a workshop project. It is a door you keep jiggling as if it were jammed, while the housekeeper whispers, "It was never locked. Be still and know that I am God," says the psalmist. Not become still and not later when you've earned it. No. Be still and know present fact, not future diploma. The master on the sea did not call for breathing exercises or a committee meeting with the wind. Peace, be still. And the narrative that believed noise was power lost its microphone. If we hear these as commands to manufacture a mood, we will miss the scandal. He was not installing stillness. He was revealing it, pulling back a curtain that human fear had taped shut. Let's twist that Bible upside down and read it in the language we can obey before our coffee cools. Be still means stop. Don't become still. Discover you already are. Don't defend. Don't arrange. Don't rehearse. Stop volunteering as stage manager. If you hear that and immediately reach for a stopwatch, I love you, but you have just tried to time the eternal. Technique is time. Recognition is timeless. Technique says, give me 90 seconds and I will descend like a dove. Recognition says, drop the clock and you will notice the dove was never circling the block looking for parking. Do you think stillness is an achievement? Do you imagine heaven stamping a certificate, 3rd-degree calm, suitable for moderate conflicts? Or is it this? The life that is your life does not jitter. The mind that is your mind does not debate itself. The love that is your love does not wait for your consent. When we are staring so intently at our shadow, our hot private narrative, we take darkness for substance. The instant we turn, the light is not manufactured by our turning. It is discovered because we stopped studying the silhouette. That is stillness. It is the end of management, not the apex of it. Now let me press you gently. Which is more faithful to the Christ within you? To bargain with your nerves for a minute and a half, or to bow without interval before the one fact that never left? Now is the accepted time. Not 90 seconds hence is the accepted time. The 90-second rule, bless its little heart, imagines you must thaw the ice before you can pour the water. But the river of God is not frozen. The ice is your management of it. Melt happens when the sun is seen, not when the ice counts to 90. I know what some will say, but I can feel the hurricane in my chest. Yes, and the disciples felt the boat taking water. Feeling is not authority. Do you think it is the God self of you that says, give me a minute, I'll find my center? Or is it humanhood in its bathrobe, shuffling for another cup of control? Stop, be, witness, not as a method, God, spare us from another method, but as a recognition there is an under silence beneath the surface sound, and it is not yours to engineer. Like the hum that has been in the room all along, it is heard the moment you stop talking over it. So here is our contrast, simple enough to fit on the back of your hand. 90 seconds of waiting belongs to the manager. 0 seconds of waking belongs to God. Waiting tries to domesticate a lion. Waking opens the cage and discovers the lion was the sun on the carpet. You and I will not build a contemplative machine that spits out peace on schedule. We will step aside and admit presence. And when we do, even for the length of this sentence, we discover the joke we have been living. We have been knocking at our own house pleading admittance to a room in which we are already seated. Stillness is not produced. It is noticed. Like light here, whether adored or ignored, the instant you cease negotiating with your shadow, you see. Peace, be still, is not a future promise. It is the unveiling of what is. Be still and know, not to become holy later, but because holiness has never been late. The door never was locked. Stop rattling. Step through. And if you must count, count like this. 0. If the door is open and stillness is not manufactured, then where do we stand to live this, not applauded, out of the body? Not out of care for it, not out of the world, but out of living inside it as a little king in a hot velvet room. It's a tomb if you live inside it. It's only a body if you stand outside and use it as an instrument. Do you think the spirit that quickens has ever been trapped in a rib cage? It is the spirit that quickeneth. The flesh profiteth nothing, said the master. He was not insulting your biology. He was relocating your identity. Stand as awareness, and you will wear the body like a good coat, useful in winter, taken off by the fire, not confused with the one who is warm. Anger, friends, is physics before it is philosophy. A spark asks a simple question. Where is your tinder? If you are living inside sensation, calling every prickle me, every opinion my blood, every slight my dignity, the room is hung with dry curtains. Strike a match and watch the show. But if you are not furnishing the chamber, if you are abiding as awareness and letting the body be what it is, an instrument, then the spark meets air. No tinder, no show. Let the flame pass through air. Don't present rags and resentments as if God needed a bonfire to be noticed. How do we place ourselves out here? In the same way you step out of an automobile without leaving the journey. You drive, yes, hands on the wheel, foot to the pedal when needed, but you are not pressed into the metal. When you arrive, you step out. So, with the body, step out into the awareness that is your true address. Then step in to use the tongue and the hands as tools. The tongue is a tool. It is not a throne. The hands are instruments. They are not a regime. Speak as the one outside, and your words will be clean and cool at the surface, warm at the core. Touch as the one outside, and your gestures will correct without scalding, bless without bargaining. Let your communication be. Yea, yea, nay, nay, said Jesus. That is the speech of one who is not living under the tyranny of his own nerves. Extend this beyond the skin, because the Museum of Humanhood has more rooms, money, status, opinions, fine toys to play with, fatal houses to live in. God, in his mischief and mercy, gives us some dollar bills to play with. Count them if you must. Don't live in them as if they breathed for you. Manage a title if it falls on your desk. Do not sleep in it. Hold an opinion as you would hold a spade useful for the garden, not suitable as a pillow. When you climb inside money, status, or my view, you line the walls with tinder, and then complain that the world is full of matches. When you stand outside, they become marbles to roll, tools to spend, costumes to wear and remove. Lay not up for yourselves treasures upon earth, the red letters warn, not because coins are wicked, but because living in a vault is a cold way to freeze a soul. Now, can this be practiced before the coffee cools? Yes. In the instant of heat, notice where you are standing. Are you cramped behind the eyes, jammed in the chest, defending the garrison? Step out. Don't make a ceremony of it. Don't light incense for the move. Just step out as the witness and let the sensations be weather passing over land that doesn't take offense at wind. Then use the body lightly, the tongue, to say yea or nay without a prosecutor's drum roll. The hands to open or to close a door without a flourish of righteousness. Be not anxious for your life, what ye shall eat or what ye shall drink, nor yet for your body. Is not about skipping meals. It is about skipping residence. Eat, drink, steward the nerves, but don't crawl inside and call it home. Do you ask, what of injustice then? Shall we become mannequins? Not at all. Justice is better served by those who do not combust. A soft answer does not mean a soft head. A cool surface does not mean a cold heart. Outwardly, we may be cold-blooded, no smoke, no steam, because inwardly we are overheated with love for God and man. And love, when it is impersonal and free of residence in the body, is excellent at turning off gas lines before it speaks to flames. It acts, it corrects, it shelters, but it never needs to be angry to be strong. So take this as the stance, not a trick. Live as awareness and let the body, the money, the title, the opinion be instruments on the bench. Then when heat comes, and it will come to the weather of this world, you will find there is nothing in you to catch. The flame passes through air, and you, having no landing strip, will be of sudden, quiet use to everyone in the room. All right, let's not admire the stance from across the room. Let's wear it. A small experiment, 60 seconds, but only because my beloved accountants will be itchy if I don't give them a number. You may time it if you must. May your pencils be sharp and your ledgers pure. But know this, grace does not punch a clock. Now is the accepted time. If you discover freedom at second 12 or at second 2, don't wait for a bell. The bell isn't hiring us tonight. Stop. That is the first word. Not as a technique, but as a refusal to continue volunteering for stage manager. Let the shoulders hang like coats unclaimed. Let the jaw be unemployed. Set down the invisible clipboard. Stand still and see the salvation of the Lord. Not later see. Be, not become. Be as you would be if you had never once been insulted, never once been praised. Let the breath come and go without recruitment. You are not doing breathing. Breathing is being done within the temple, and you are outside the temple, watching the lamp burn. Witness, the body may flare heat in the cheek, a climb in the throat, a little drum in the chest. Let it. Do not name it anger, for names call the actor to the stage. Do not fix it. Fixes are food. Do not feed it with why, with memory, with courtroom exhibits. Watch the arc. Sensation rises like a guest late to a banquet, looks for a host, a throne, a royal, me. Finding no inhabitant, it hesitates. Without a residence to rent, it thins. Like mist in the noon sun, it reveals the hillside that never left. Be still and know that I am God. Feel that? The knowing is not an idea. It is the absence of the knower who manages. There. If you timed it, write down whatever you like. We love you just the same. But here is our debrief. Plain enough for a pocket Bible. Nothing added, nothing resisted. We did not arrange the weather. We stood as sky. The manager never reported for duty. There was no desk to sit at, no headset to wear. And because no little sovereign presented a landing strip, the heat had air to pass through and nothing to burn. Peace, be still, was not shouted at waves. It was whispered to the part of us that thought noise is power. What did we prove? That unresisted stillness, noticed, not manufactured, dissolves the flare without negotiation. No bargain, no stopwatch, no applause necessary. The kingdom of God was within you before the spark. It is within you now. Abide here, even as you rise to speak your yea or your nay, and you will find that love, cool at the surface and warm at the core, needs no anger to be strong. Now let us put flesh on this stillness. No, not flesh. Let us put love on it, but not the sort that swings on a pendulum, hot here, cold there, melting for friends and freezing for enemies. Do you think it is the God self of us that gets tangled in sympathies and aversions like burrs on a coat? Do you think spirit manages mood boards for each face that appears at our door? This one gets a tear, that one a scold, this one a slow burn. Or is it humanhood forever, making a personal ledger of debts and favors that confuses love with emotional exchange? Hear me. Divine love is not a seesaw. It is a sea. Love your enemies. Bless them that curse you. Do good to them that hate you, said the Master. That is not a call to sentimental leakage. It is a call to impersonal radiance, a warmth for the Christ in all, not heat for or against any person. Impersonal does not mean indifferent. It means insulated, like the wire that carries fire, yet does not shock the hand that serves the lamp. Outwardly cold-blooded. Yes, no drama. No trembling handkerchief. No operatic sighs. Inwardly overheated with love for God and man, burning clean and steady for the appearing of Christ everywhere, even in the mouth that just accused you, even in the eyes that just rolled their contempt across your desk. Our heart must burn with joy for the Christ, not yearn and sag with emotional pity for the poor. For pity is sticky with mine and thine, with little bargains and quiet resentments. Compassion acts, pity reacts. Compassion sees the Son of God trying to be born in a tangled scene and midwife softly. Pity climbs into the tangle and calls it home. Now the service ethic, since some of you are already sharpening your swords to go save the world by supper, do not solicit battles. Do not solicit healings. Do not hand out your card in the lobby of suffering as if you were selling umbrellas in a forecast. When sincerely approached, truly approached, respond wholly, not half asleep, not with a trick, but with your whole being until harmony appears. If it takes an hour, you are there an hour. If it takes the night, you are there the night. If it takes a week of quiet prayer without a word spoken, then let your speech be silence that knows. Freely ye have received, freely give. Not anxiously solicit, impress, and count. We are not recruiters for a cause. We are servants of presence. Presence does not hustle. Presence answers. What does this have to do with anger? Everything. Insulation denies anger a conductive path. When there is no emotional interchange, no live wire of personal for and against anger cannot complete its circuit. It reaches, it gropes, it looks for purchase, and finds none. It cannot twist what is not offering a handle. Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. That was not a heatless platitude. It was insulated love in the hottest moment a man ever faced. No private self arraigned its accusers. No ledger clicked. Forgiveness was not negotiated. It was the air into which the flame expired. Test it gently in your day. A complaint arrives, don't climb into it. See Christ where the complaint pretends only a complainer stands. A wound is shown, do not lean down with your tears as fees. Stand up in quiet and let the balm arrive without your fingerprints all over the jar. Judge not, that ye be not judged is insulation. It is not courtroom policy. It is weatherproofing. When you refuse to trade judgments, the storm runs out of thunder. Bless them that curse you is not a dare to be a doormat. It is a way to let heat pass through air, leaving the furniture of your soul unscorched and the room clearer for the work that must be done. You may appear cool, then someone will accuse you of not caring. Let them. The sick room does not need another fever. It needs a nurse with a steady hand. Outwardly cold-blooded, pulse slow, voice plain, yea, yea, nay, nay. Inwardly overheated, heart a furnace for God and man. And when you stand there insulated, impersonal, you will find that love is no longer a mood you manage. It is a condition you are. In that condition, anger has nothing to grip. And because nothing can be gripped, everything can be helped. Now, here is the part none of us wanted on the invitation, least of all me, because it ruins the fun of being a newly improved spiritual personality. Early gains puff us. We stop throwing plates and start throwing principles. We learn to breathe, to count, to quote, to adopt the tone of an archangel on a conference call, and the personal self, the sly creature puts on a white coat and becomes a better manager of tempers. Do you think that is the God self of us? Or is it the same old actor in a tuxedo, bowing to applause for having rehearsed rage into a whisper? I know this terrain. I have come out of a flare, straightened my tie, and thought, sanctity looks good on me. That is the first red light. When sanctity looks good on me, me is still auditioning. Let's tell the truth in a single sentence. The end of anger requires the diminishment of the one who needs anger to exist. Not his reform, not her etiquette, her diminishment, his extinction. I die daily, said Paul. Not once, not dramatically on a special weekend, but daily. If we make a museum out of that phrase, the guard we hire at the door will be our hot self wearing bifocals. We must take it down from the wall and put it on like a shirt. Die daily to the one that must be right, must reply, must win. Interrupt him before he clears his throat. Starve her before she fetches a witness. Let the case close, because there is no plaintiff left to file. There is a corridor where this becomes more than pious language, and no one likes to walk it. I call it the quiet black night, not the dramatic midnight of tragedy that lets you gather sympathy like flowers, but the unsung twilight in which your tricks stop working. Your Bible verses don't taste sweet on the tongue. Your timing routines fall flat. Your beloved calm voice is met with a slammed door. You reach for a ladder and touch fog. Do you think this is God abandoning you? Oh, no. This is God confiscating the toys that keep the pretend throne propped up. The heat burns out here not because you master a temperature control, but because you cannot find the switch. The manager has no panel to press, and in that mercy he tires of himself and fades. How to walk it without melodrama. Die in inches. The eye rises, cut its fuel. The comeback arrives, let it arrive to an empty house. The email composes itself, watch it vanish unsent. The jaw prepares its sermon, loosen it. Let the words expire on the runway. He must increase, but I must decrease. Let decrease be practical. Let the last word go hungry. Let your cleverness go to bed without dessert. This is not virtue signaling. No one is applauding in the corridor, except a corn of wheat fall into the ground and die. It abideth alone. We have abided alone long enough in our noble anger, our righteous flares, our managerial cool. Fall, disappear into the soil of presence, and the husk that loved its own heat will split. What then? You will not become a colder person. You will discover there is no person available to heat. Presence acts simple as a hand turning off a stove without commentary. You correct the child without salt in the tone. You face a wrong without a fist in the voice. You end a quarrel before it enters the room because there is no host to seat it. The marvel is not the absence of action. The marvel is the absence of residue. No aftertaste of victory. No echo of, see what I did. No ash of self-congratulation in the mouth. Not I, but Christ liveth in me. And because Christ lives, he loves without combustion. He speaks without smoke. He refuses without bruise. Die daily. Then not to become a ghost, but to stop haunting your own life. Die to the hot sovereign and his stopwatch, and you will find that the night is only black to eyes, still hunting for switches. To the one who has ceased managing, it is beautifully quiet. In that quiet, grace resolves at 0 seconds, not as a technique completed, but as being unveiled. And when the sun looks in, there is no king on a chair to squint at it, only light, recognizing light, and no landing strip left for anger to descend. If we are to live this without burning down the kitchen, we must carry the master's voice like a flame that doesn't scorch the hand. I mean, carry it on paper in the pocket, if you'll humor me, the red letters where you can feel them against your coat, and on the heart where they do their deepest mischief. Have a red letter New Testament. Yes. Get so familiar with the master's words that retaliation theology dissolves like sugar in hot water. Ye have heard that it hath been said, an eye for an eye, and a tooth for a tooth. But I say unto you, resist not evil, love your enemies. Do you think Christ meant, give me a minute to consider it? Or is the command itself, it's timing now, or it isn't the command at all? Let's twist that Bible upside down, not to insult it, but to pour it into our cup in a language we can drink before we spill. Forgive 70 times 7. Rephrase it. Before the thought forms, I forgive. Not when the wound is bandaged. Not when the offender apologizes with flowers and a notarized letter. Not when the 90 seconds are up and the manager says all clear. Before the thought forms, I forgive. Make forgiveness an atmosphere you live in, not a decision you perform like an actor waiting for applause. My beloved accountants will want a ledger. Offenses in the left column, pardons in the right, carry the one, divide by 70. No, mercy has no column. Be ye therefore merciful, as your Father also is merciful. Father doesn't consult a clock. Father is the light by which clocks are even seen. Do you think the God self of us tallies seconds between insult and absolution? Do you think spirit warms up like a choir? Or is it this? Now is the accepted time. Behold, now is the day of salvation. Now is 0 seconds. Peace, be still, does not shout at weather on the lake only. It addresses the little squall assembling in the ribs, the urge to strike, the courtroom rising in the mind. Catch it before it has a name. Speak to it before it speaks. Peace, be still, not as a performance, but as the unveiling of what already governs this house. I have seen this in places where clocks run the show and tempers have been granted honorary badges. A guard in a gray corridor balked a word that, on a hot day in my previous life, would have been answered with a neat sermon packaged as a punch. I felt the old courtroom rise, bands tuning, witnesses filing in. Before the thought formed, I forgave. Not with a saintly sigh, but with nothing, no theater, no inner speech air where a fist wanted to be. The man blinked, said the same word again, lighter this time, and walked on. What changed? Not him yet. The atmosphere. When no private heat was offered, the script lost its cue. Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. He didn't wait for comprehension. Forgiveness preceded understanding and became its teacher. Rise above the old calculus, eye for eye, and, in our modern genius, second for second, I'll need a minute to be holy. The minute is humanhood's leash. Mercy breaks it. If we will saturate in the red letters until the ink runs through the paper into our skin, we will begin to hear their cadence even when our name is hissed in a room we paid rent for. Rephrase them on your tongue so they can walk into Tuesday. Before the thought forms, I forgive. Bless them that curse you becomes, I will not hand you my fuse. Turn the other cheek becomes. There is no cheek to own, only presence to reveal. And when the weather barrels in outside or in the small sky beneath the sternum address, the only storm that matters, the urge to retaliate that pretends to be you. Peace, be still. Not later. If later, humanhood has already written the scene. 0 seconds is not a hurry, it is honesty. Christ's words rephrased and lived immediately. End retaliation before it can assemble itself. Live in that atmosphere and discover there is no fury to extinguish because there was no match to strike, only light, recognizing light. All right? You want proofs, not parables. Not to make an idol of results, God save us from that, but to show you that the same stillness that dissolves a flare in the chest will also rearrange the furniture of a room where heat had applied for the job. Homes, offices, prisons, humanhood gives them different carpets. Spirit gives them the same floor. Do you think the God self of us performs better in a chapel than in a kitchen? Or is it precisely in the kitchen, while the toast is burning and the calendar is crowded, that we learn whether peace be still is a wall hanging or the governing climate? At home, a simple scene where the actors know each other so well the script writes itself. A spouse's jab, a small, practiced barb that in our former life would have opened court and called witnesses from last Christmas. I felt the old lawyer stand up, clearing his throat. Before the thought formed, I forgave. One breath, no halo, no flare, and the words that came were not a counterpunch, but a plain yea to the dish that needed doing. A soft answer turneth away wrath. Not a sentimental hush, not mute surrender, but answer soft and accurate. The quarrel never hatched. The egg of it cooled in air that offered no incubator, no ledger of past sins, no bright defense of honor. 5 minutes later, I was rinsing plates, and the one who had jabbed was humming in the hallway, wondering, I think, why the fight she had ordered never arrived. Do you think that was cleverness? It was absence. No little sovereign filed a complaint, and so there was nothing to adjudicate. At the office, a meeting where confidence was a currency, and I had, on a previous incarnation, tried to buy the room with voice and diagrams. A colleague launched a public challenge, the kind with a smile in it, the kind that invites the hot self to give a TED talk on why it is right. I felt the heat ask for matches. I didn't show up. I let the chair sit empty. Take no thought how or what ye shall speak. Doesn't mean be stupid. It means don't consult the manager. I asked for the data to be read aloud. Just the figures, without adjectives. Let your communication be yea, yea, nay, nay. When the numbers were lighted by that cool air, the challenge lost its drama and returned as usable clay. We changed course slightly, sanely. After the meeting, the challenger came by, not to apologize, but to work. The room had cooled because there was no personal heat to make steam. Active, non-reactivity, freed action. We moved without smoke. In prism, concrete hymns, doors that speak in iron, faces trained to be either mirrors or masks. If you carry pity into that wing, you will barter it for fear in 10 minutes. We went empty of both. Outwardly cold-blooded, pulse steady, voice plain because inwardly overheated with love for God and man. No sermon, no track, just presence that refused to trade identities with the roles on the tier. Two men started a storm posture, volume, the old ritual of escalation. I did not match it. I did not bless it either, with anxious touches and wet eyes. I stood as the one outside the body, using the body as an instrument, a hand open, a name spoken once, a pause that did not tremble. Perfect love casteth out fear. Fear went first. The show had lost its ticket taker. Anger reached for a handle, found none, and sat down hard on its own energy. The wing cooled without a verse read aloud, though the red letters did their work in the silence as surely as if I had shouted them from the catwalk. What is the lesson? Not strategies, but stance. Not mute passivity, but a living insulation that keeps the circuit from closing so power can serve rather than scorch. In the home, stillness preempted a quarrel. In the office, it returned a challenge as data. In the prison, it cooled a climate thick with rehearsed heat. Across settings, outcomes shift when there is no personal heat to amplify the room. Blessed are the peacemakers, not the passive, makers of peace, because they carry none of their own storms into the weather. Refuse humanhood's management at 0 seconds, and the flame passes through air. Abide as the God self and present emptiness to anger, and emptiness everywhere, in kitchens, in boardrooms, and cell blocks cannot be struck. Let's build a day that doesn't volunteer for firefighting, a day that does not admire stillness, but runs on it. Not a monastic day in a cave, though some of you would look wonderful in brown, but a Tuesday with shoes and invoices. Recognition, not reaction, must set our clocks. The secret is as domestic as tying shoelaces. Set checkpoints where the old sovereign usually sneaks in with a badge and a stopwatch. Morning. Before you consult headlines, consult the red letters. One line, only one. We are not stuffing a turkey held long enough to melt into your own language. Blessed are the peacemakers becomes. Today I will not import weather, or take our earlier rephrasing. Before the thought forms, I forgive. Write it on a card, slip it in your pocket, feel it against your coat like tinder that refuses to take a spark, flintless tinder. We are not arming for battle. We are remembering what governs this day. Now is the accepted time. If you must drink coffee, drink it under that line and let it sweeten the nerves before the world adds its sugar of outrage. 3 checkpoints, and my beloved accountants may put them on a spreadsheet if it helps you sleep. First, before speaking, the lips are quick draws. The tongue is a small matchbox. Before it opens, stop into being. 0 seconds, no drama, just the instant absence of the manager. Set a watch, O Lord, before my mouth. Keep the door of my lips. Is this my humanhood composing, or is there simply a yea, yea, nay, nay, arising without heat? If you feel fire, do not varnish it with scripture. Step out of the body. Stand as the one using it, and let the words come through clean or not at all. Second, before typing. Keys are little catapults. They love to fling our private weather across the earth. Hands on the board, pause. Who is writing? The courtroom clerk or presence? Take no thought how or what ye shall speak. You are not a stenographer for your wounds. Let the fingers be instruments, not avengers. If the pause shows you heat, let the letter sit like bread needing more leaven. When the air is cool, type plainly. No emojis of righteousness required. Third, before stepping into a charged room, the threshold is an altar. Treat it so. Peace be to this house. Don't carry your own thunder in to impress the storm. Outwardly cold-blooded, inwardly overheated with love, enter as insulation. Scan the room the way you would check a circuit. Where is fear longing for an excuse? Don't offer one. The God self neither ignites nor reacts. It reveals. If you must act, act. If you must say no, say it, but let no personal heat sign the sentence. All day, an instrument check, no white coat, no stethoscope, just an honest question that can be asked in a breath at the sink or in the elevator. Am I living inside this body, or am I outside using it? It's a tomb if you're living inside of it. It's only a body if you're outside using it as an instrument. Feel the difference in an instant. Inside, you bruise easily. Outside, you serve freely. Then look at the other idol, money. Are you inside the banknotes, heart rate tied to digits, or playing with them lightly, tools on a bench? God gives us some dollar bills to play with. Don't move into them as if they were shelter. The one who lives in money must defend it. The one who plays with it can give, receive, and say enough without heat. Evening. The day has spoken. Let it teach. A short inventory, not a courtroom. Where did anger fail to land because no host checked it in? Bless those moments. They are proof that grace resolves at 0 seconds. Then ask, where did I sneak back and make up a bed for it? Was it the clever email that tasted of victory? The hallway speech rehearsed for an absent rival? The bite in the tone disguised as clarity? Search me, O God, and know my heart, and lead me in the way everlasting. No whip, no wreath, just truth. Say, I die daily, and mean it by withdrawing the bed, not by hating yourself for having made one. Close the ledger with mercy. There is therefore now no condemnation to them which are in Christ Jesus. Condemnation is heat. Recognition is light. If you will do only this morning rephrasing, 3 checkpoints, an instrument check that asks where you are living, and a quiet evening truth-telling, your day will begin to run on recognition. And when recognition structures the hours, reaction can't find a lever. Anger arrives like a traveler with the wrong address, looks around for furniture, and meets a room furnished with air. No landing strip, no fire. Peace. Be still and be still. Again, before any word, any key, any threshold. I knew it. I shouldn't have been invited. You should have included me out. And yet, somehow, here we are, at the one sentence I was asked to say in the first place. The sentence I have been circling like a shy bird all evening. Skip the hacks, be still now. And anger is nowhere to land. If the talk wobbled, forgive the wobble. The center did not wobble. Be still and know that I am God. Presence has carried us like a quiet river under a noisy bridge. You felt it whenever the urge to manage receded and the room breathed. That was the point. The only point. When we refuse humanhood's management and abide as the God self, even for the blink call, now there is no runway for flame, no dock for the storm. Do you think the God self of us needs a countdown to serenity? Do you think Spirit sets a kitchen timer for holiness and rings a bell when we may resume being decent? Or is it this plain? Grace is not a technique. Grace is the absence of the manager and the appearing of what already is. At 0 seconds, there is no rehearsal, no cleverness, no upgraded temperament signing autographs. Who gets angry? The one we are relinquishing. Who is here when anger knocks and no one answers? The one we never created and cannot improve. The prince of this world cometh, and hath nothing in me. Nothing to stick to, no handle to twist. Take, then, the ethic that lives where the stopwatch dies. Hold no one in condemnation. It is hot work and burns the holder first. Judge not, that ye be not judged. Pray not theatrically, not with sighs for points, but honestly, for those who despitefully use you. Pray for them which despitefully use you and persecute you. Let love act without heat, answer plainly, refuse cleanly, assist quietly, outwardly cold-blooded, inwardly overheated with love for God and man. Become, by daily diminishment of the manager, the kind of atmosphere in which a quarrel cannot ripen because there is no sun of private grievance to warm it. Blessed are the peacemakers, not the pleasers, not the avoiders, the makers of climates too clear for thunder. And now the inversion that settles the case before it opens. It isn't that you master anger. Mastery implies a little king with a strong jaw pacing the ramparts. No, it is that masterless anger cannot find you. You are not at the address rage has on file. You live outside the body, using it as an instrument. Heat passes through air. You live outside your pile of coins, playing with them lightly. There is nothing in you that flares when their number moves. You live outside the tribunal of self. There is no judge to applaud the verdict. When there is no landing strip, even the most insistent pilot must circle an empty field until fuel runs out. Emptiness cannot be struck. Swing at it, and you bruise your air. If you forget everything but this, you will have remembered the whole. Before the word forms, be still. Before the key is pressed, be still. Before the threshold is crossed, be still. Not to freeze, but to free the act from heat. Not to suppress, but to release what doesn't need your steam. Die daily, not dramatically, but in inches, and the inches add up to a road. No anger can walk. Keep the red letters in your pocket and in your mouth until they are no longer letters, but breath. Forgive before the thought forms. Peace, be still before the gale assembles. Now is the accepted time. Now or never. Now or not at all. So here is the mic drop, not mine, his. The prince of this world cometh, and hath nothing in me. Make that your address label. Let's leave the runway unpaved, the tower unmanned by the old manager, the lamps trimmed within and invisible without. Abiding as the God self, you present emptiness to anger, and emptiness cannot be struck. No landing strip, no fire. Peace, be still now.